My name is Linda Dawson. I'm 61 years old, and I need to tell you something that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. While I was lying in a hospital bed, fighting for my life after emergency heart surgery, my own daughter, the child I raised, the girl I sacrificed everything for, sold my house, not to help me, not to save me, but to pay off her husband's gambling debts. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine waking up from surgery, barely able to breathe, thinking your family is taking care of things, only to discover they've stolen your entire life out from under you? When I finally came home, weak, exhausted, still recovering, they were waiting for me in my driveway, not with flowers, not with concern, but with smirks on their faces. My daughter Emily and her worthless husband Derek stood there like they'd won some kind of prize, and Derek actually laughed when he saw me. He laughed and said, "Well, well, well. Look, who's homeless now?" I just smiled. I couldn't help it. The audacity of it all, the sheer stupidity, it was almost funny. "What's so funny, Linda?" Emily snapped, her voice sharp and irritated. She always hated when she couldn't read me, when she couldn't control my reactions. I looked at them both, still smiling, and said quietly, "The house you sold, it was actually..." But before I tell you what happened next, before I reveal how this story ends, I need you to do something for me. Please, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. And comment below telling me where you're watching from, what city, what country. It means more than you know. It tells me I'm not alone in this. It tells me that somewhere out there, someone understands what it feels like to be betrayed by the people you love most. Now, let me take you back. My name is Linda Dawson, and I'm 61 years old. For 35 years, I worked as a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. 35 years of double shifts, of holding dying patients' hands, of missing my own daughter's school plays because someone else's mother needed me to save her son's life. 35 years of coming home with aching feet and an aching heart, smelling like disinfectant and exhaustion. I was widowed when Emily was only 7. My husband, Philip, died in a car accident on a rainy Tuesday morning. One moment he was kissing me goodbye, saying he'd pick up milk on the way home. The next moment, a police officer was at my door, hat in his hands, eyes full of practiced sympathy. Just like that, I became a single mother with a mortgage, a broken heart, and a little girl who kept asking when Daddy was coming home. I never remarried. Never even dated, really. How could I? Between working doubles at the hospital and trying to be both mother and father to Emily, there was no time. There was no energy. There was nothing left of me at the end of each day except the desperate hope that I was doing enough, being enough, giving enough. Philip used to joke that I had a soft spot for lost causes. "Linda," he'd say, laughing as I brought home another stray cat or donated to another charity, "you can't save everyone." But I tried. God, help me, I tried. And maybe that's why I never stopped rescuing my daughter, even when it started to cost me everything. Even when every rational part of my brain was screaming at me to stop, to let her fall, to let her learn. But mothers don't do that, do we? We catch them. Every single time. Until the day comes when we can't anymore. Until the day when catching them means losing ourselves entirely. Emily was a beautiful child. Bright eyes, quick smile, so full of life and possibility. I remember her at 5 years old, dancing around the living room, saying she wanted to be a doctor just like the ones at my hospital. I remember thinking, this is why I work so hard. This is why it's all worth it. But somewhere between childhood and adulthood, something changed. Or maybe it was always there, and I just didn't want to see it, that selfishness, that entitlement. That belief that the world that I owed her something. She dropped out of college after 2 years. Said it wasn't for her, that she needed to find herself. I supported her. Of course I did. I took on extra shifts to pay off her student loans, even though she never finished her degree. It's okay. I told myself. Not everyone is meant for college. She'll find her path. Then she met Derek. Oh, Derek. Charming Derek with his easy smile and empty promises. Derek, who swept my daughter off her feet with fancy dinners he couldn't afford and big dreams he'd never achieve. Derek, who was 28 years old and had never held a job for more than 6 months. Derek, who I knew was going to break my daughter's heart and drain my bank account. But what could I say? Emily was in love. Emily was glowing. Emily was finally happy, she said. And what kind of mother crushes her daughter's happiness? What kind of mother says, that man is a parasite, and he's going to ruin your life? So, I smiled. I welcomed him into my home. I pretended not to notice when money started disappearing from my wallet. I pretended not to see the warning signs. They got married when Emily was 24. I paid for the wedding, of course. $15,000 I didn't have for a ceremony that lasted 4 hours. Emily wanted everything perfect, the dress, the flowers, the venue, the photographer, and I wanted her to have it. I wanted her to have that one perfect day, even if it meant I had to work until I was 70 to pay off the credit cards. Mom, you're the best, she said, hugging me at the reception, slightly drunk on champagne I'd paid for. I love you so much. I held her tight and thought, this is worth it. My daughter's happiness is worth any sacrifice. I was such a fool. It started small. Little requests that seemed reasonable at the time. Mom, can you loan us $500? Derek's car broke down, and he needs it to get to work. Mom, our rent is due, and Derek's paycheck was delayed. Can you help us out just this once? Mom, we're really struggling. Could we stay with you for a few weeks until we get back on our feet? Every time, I said yes. Every time, I opened my wallet, opened my door, opened my heart. Because that's what family does, right? Family helps each other. Family supports each other through hard times. The few weeks became months. The months became a year. They lived in my house, ate my food, used my utilities, and contributed nothing. Derek would lie on my couch, watching TV all day, while I worked 12-hour shifts. Emily would complain that my house was too small, too old, too far from her friends. I'd come home exhausted, barely able to stand, and find them in my living room, surrounded by takeout containers from restaurants I couldn't afford to eat at. Where did you get the money for that? I asked once, staring at the bags from an expensive steakhouse. Oh, Derek got a bonus at work, Emily said casually, not even looking up from her phone. A bonus. While they owed me thousands of dollars, while they hadn't paid me a single dollar in rent. But I didn't say anything. I just went to my room, closed the door, and cried into my pillow so they wouldn't hear. I started hiding money from them. Keeping cash in a locked box in my closet. But somehow, they always found it. Somehow, there were always emergencies that required that exact amount. Mom, we need $1,000. Derek's in trouble. Please, Mom. You have to help us. And I did. Every single time. Because the alternative, watching my daughter suffer, watching her marriage fall apart, watching her end up on the streets, was unthinkable. My coworkers noticed. Linda, you look exhausted, my friend Margaret said one day in the break room. When's the last time you took a day off? I can't afford to, I said, stirring my instant coffee because I'd given up my daily Starbucks to save money. Emily and Derek need help getting back on their feet. Margaret looked at me with such pity. Linda, honey, you're not helping them. You're enabling them. There's a difference. But I didn't want to hear it. I couldn't hear it. Because hearing it would mean admitting that I'd wasted years of my life and tens of thousands of dollars on people who saw me as nothing more than an ATM machine. It all came crashing down 2 years ago. I discovered that Derek had a gambling problem, not casual, occasional gambling. Not a few friendly poker games. Real, destructive, life-ruining addiction. He'd been going to casinos. betting on sports, playing online poker. And he'd lost. Oh God, had he lost? Over $80,000 in debt to some very dangerous people. People who started calling my house, leaving threatening messages, showing up at my door. Mrs. Dawson, your son-in-law owes us money. A lot of money. And we're not patient people. I was terrified. These weren't credit card companies or banks. These were men who spoke in quiet voices and made veiled threats about unfortunate accidents. Emily came to me, sobbing. Mom, they're going to hurt him. They're going to kill him. Please, Mom. Please help us. We'll pay you back. I swear we will. I looked at my daughter, my baby girl, my only child, and I couldn't say no, even though every instinct told me to run. Even though I knew this was a line I shouldn't cross, I emptied my retirement account, 35 years of careful saving, of denying myself vacations and new clothes and simple pleasures. Gone. All of it gone in a single transaction to save a man who'd never worked an honest day in his life. Thank you, Mom, Derek said, not meeting my eyes. I'm going to change. I swear. This was a wake-up call. He didn't change. 3 months later, he was gambling again. And the debt started piling up again. But this time, I had nothing left to give. My savings were gone. My retirement was gone. I was 59 years old, working full-time with nothing to show for a lifetime of sacrifice. I can't help you anymore, I told them. I'm sorry, but I just can't. There's nothing left. Emily looked at me like I'd slapped her. You're our mother. You're supposed to help us. I have helped you. For years, I've done nothing but help you. And it's never enough. It's never going to be enough, because you don't want help, you want me to fix everything while you change nothing. She didn't speak to me for 2 months after that. 2 months of silence, of unanswered calls, of wondering if I'd lost my daughter forever. Then she called. Crying. Apologizing. Saying she understood now. Saying she and Derek were going to counseling, getting help, turning things around. And fool that I am, I believed her. Last year, I started having chest pains. Sharp, stabbing pains that took my breath away and left me gasping. As a nurse, I knew what they meant. But I ignored them. I couldn't afford to be sick, I couldn't afford to take time off, I had bills to pay, a mortgage to maintain. The pain got worse. I started feeling dizzy at work, sweating for no reason, my heart racing so fast I thought it would explode. Linda, you need to go to the ER, my supervisor said, watching me grip the nurse's station for support. I'm fine, I lied. Just tired. But I wasn't fine. And 2 weeks later, I collapsed during my shift. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed with an IV in my arm and a cardiologist standing over me looking grave. Mrs. Dawson. You've had a heart attack. A serious one. You need emergency surgery, today. I was terrified. Not of dying, I'd made my peace with mortality years ago. But of leaving Emily alone, of abandoning her when she still needed me so much. My daughter, I whispered. Someone needs to call my daughter. They called her. She came to the hospital, crying, holding my hand, telling me everything would be okay. Don't worry about anything, Mom, she said, her voice so sweet, so concerned. Derek and I will take care of everything. You just focus on getting better. I squeezed her hand, so grateful to have her there, so relieved that despite everything, she still loved me. I went into surgery that afternoon. 6 hours on an operating table, while they cut open my chest and repaired my broken heart. When I woke up, groggy and in pain, Emily was there. How are you feeling, Mom? Tired, I managed. So tired. I know. But you're going to be fine. The doctor said the surgery went well. You just need to rest and recover. The house, I mumbled, my mind foggy from medication. Did you lock up? Did you? Don't worry about the house, Mom. I'm taking care of everything. Just rest. I spent 3 weeks in the hospital. 3 weeks of recovery, of physical therapy, of learning to walk again without getting dizzy. Emily visited every few days, always with updates about the house, about how she was handling things. I'm sorting through your mail, Mom. Paying your bills, making sure everything's taken care of. I was so grateful. So touched by her devotion. My daughter had finally grown up. Finally stepped up. Finally became the responsible adult I'd always hoped she'd be. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have imagined in my worst nightmares, was what she was really doing with my mail, with my documents, with my life. They sent me to a rehabilitation facility after the hospital. Another 2 weeks of physical therapy, of building my strength back up, of learning to function again. Emily visited less frequently there. I'm so busy, Mom. Taking care of the house is a full-time job. I understood. Or I thought I did. I thought she was overwhelmed with the responsibility, stressed about my health. I never suspected the truth. When I was finally discharged, Emily picked me up. But instead of driving me home, she took me to a coffee shop. Mom, we need to talk, she said, her voice careful, controlled. My heart, my weak, broken heart, started racing. What's wrong? Is it Derek? Are you okay? We're fine. Actually, we're better than fine. Mom, we solved all our problems. Derek's debts are paid. We're starting fresh. I felt a flood of relief. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. How did you? We sold the house. The words didn't make sense. They hung in the air between us, meaningless syllables that my brain couldn't process. What? We sold your house, Mom. Well, it's our house now. It was our house. We got a really good price for it, and we used the money to pay off Derek's debts, and… What do you mean you sold my house? My voice was rising, panic clawing at my throat. You can't sell my house. It's not yours to sell. Emily's face hardened. Actually, Mom, it was mine to sell. Remember when you were in the hospital? You were so out of it from the medication, and they needed someone to make decisions for you, so I had you sign some papers. Power of attorney. You gave me power of attorney. I wouldn't. You did, Mom. You signed everything. Very legally. Very officially. And since you'd been telling us for years that everything you had would be ours someday anyway, we figured. Why wait? I couldn't breathe. My chest was tight, my vision narrowing. You can't do this. You can't just. It's done, Mom. The house is sold. The money's spent. Derek's debts are cleared, and we're moving to Florida to start over. Fresh start for everyone. Everyone? What about me? Where am I supposed to live? She shrugged. Actually shrugged. You'll figure something out. You're resourceful. Besides, you're always saying how you work too much, how stressed you are about the mortgage. Well, now you don't have to worry about it anymore. You're free. Free. She called it freedom. Taking away the only security I had left, the only thing I'd built in 35 years of backbreaking work, and she called it freedom. Emily, please. You have to fix this. You have to get the house back. Can't do that, Mom. Money's gone. The house is sold. New owners are moving in next week. She checked her watch. Actually, we need to go clean out your stuff. They want the place empty by Friday. I sat there in that coffee shop, my heart medication sitting untouched next to my untouched latte, and I realized something. My daughter didn't love me. Maybe she never had. Or maybe she did once, but somewhere along the way, love had been replaced by entitlement. By the belief that I existed solely to serve her needs, to fund her mistakes, to sacrifice myself on the altar of her happiness. Derek was waiting at the house when we arrived. My house. Except it wasn't my house anymore. He was loading boxes into a truck, whistling. Hey, Linda. He called out cheerfully. Come to help pack? We've got most of your stuff sorted. Figured we'd donate what you don't need. Donate my things? You're going to donate my belongings? Well, yeah. You can't take everything. Where are you going to put it? You don't have a house anymore. He laughed. He actually laughed. Something inside me cracked, not broke, cracked. Like ice over a frozen lake, spider webbing but not yet giving way. Where am I supposed to go? I asked, my voice surprisingly calm. Emily came up behind me. Well, you can't stay here. The new owners are expecting an empty house. Maybe you can stay with one of your friends from work? Or there are some nice senior apartments in town. Much easier to maintain than a whole house. Senior apartments. At 61. After working my entire life, after sacrificing everything for her. I see, I said quietly. Derek clapped me on the shoulder. Don't look so sad, Linda. Change is good. You'll see. In a few months, you'll be thanking us for forcing you out of your comfort zone. I looked at him, really looked at him. This man-child who'd never held a job, never paid a bill, never contributed anything to society except debt and disappointment. This parasite who'd latched onto my daughter and, through her, onto me. This waste of space who'd just stolen my entire life and had the audacity to tell me I should be grateful. You're right, I said, smiling. I should thank you. They both looked surprised. Pleased, even. Really? Emily asked. So you're not mad? Mad? No. Why would I be mad? You just taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. What's that? Derek asked, grinning. That blood doesn't mean loyalty. That sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you trusted most. That love without boundaries isn't love at all, it's suicide. Emily's smile faded. Mom, don't be dramatic. Dramatic? You stole my house while I was recovering from heart surgery, and I'm being dramatic? We didn't steal anything. You signed. I signed papers while I was heavily medicated and barely conscious. Papers you told me were hospital consent forms. That's called fraud, Emily. That's called elder abuse. Derek's face darkened. Now hold on. No, you hold on. Both of you. You think you're so clever. You think you've gotten away with something. But you made one critical mistake. What mistake? Emily demanded. Everything was legal. I checked with lawyers. You signed everything properly. I smiled. Really smiled this time. Because finally, I had something they didn't expect. The house you sold, I said slowly, savoring every word, wasn't actually mine to sell. Confusion flickered across their faces. What are you talking about? Emily said. Of course, it was yours. Your name was on everything. My name was on the mortgage, yes. I paid the bills, yes. But the actual deed? The actual ownership? I paused, watching them. That was transferred 5 years ago. Transferred? To whom? To a family trust. Managed by my lawyer. I did it after your father died, to protect our assets, to make sure you'd be taken care of if anything happened to me. The house couldn't be sold without the trust's approval. Without my lawyer's signature, without proper documentation that you definitely didn't have. The blood drained from Emily's face. That's not. You're lying. If that were true, the sale wouldn't have gone through. Oh, the sale went through. The buyer paid you how much? 300,000? And you signed all the documents, handed over the keys, took the money? Yes. It was all legal. It was all fraud, I corrected. You sold property you didn't own. You forged documentation. You misrepresented ownership. And the buyer? They're going to discover very soon that they don't actually own the house they just paid for, and you know what happens then? Derek's face had gone from red to white to green. Oh, God. Oh, God is right. They're going to want their money back, all $300,000, money you've already spent on Derek's gambling debts. money you don't have. But the power of attorney gives you the right to make medical and financial decisions on my behalf. It doesn't give you the right to sell property held in trust. My lawyer explained that very carefully when I set up the trust. He even made me sign extra documents acknowledging I understood the difference. Emily was shaking now. You have to fix this. You have to tell them it was a mistake, that. What? That you deliberately deceived them? That you committed fraud? That you sold them property you knew wasn't yours? We didn't know. You didn't ask. You saw an opportunity to steal from me, and you took it. And now you're going to face the consequences. Derek grabbed Emily's arm. We need to call our lawyer. Right now. Good idea, I said pleasantly. While you're at it, you might want to call a criminal defense attorney. Because when the buyer realizes what you've done, they're not just going to sue you, they're going to press charges. Fraud. Elder abuse, forgery. You're looking at felony charges. Both of you. Mom, please. Emily was crying now. Please, you can't do this. I'm your daughter. You can't send me to jail. The crack in me widened. Spread. But I still didn't break. I didn't send you to jail, Emily. You sent yourself. I gave you everything. My time, my money, my love, my future. And you repaid me by trying to steal the one thing I had left. The home I worked 35 years to pay for. The home where I raised you, where your father and I built our life together. It was just a house. It was my life. The words exploded out of me, raw and full of pain. It was every double shift I worked while you slept. Every vacation I didn't take so I could pay your bills. Every retirement dream I gave up to fund your mistakes. It was 35 years of sacrifice, and you sold it for your husband's gambling debts without a second thought. She stepped back, shocked by my rage. Good. Let her be shocked, let her see what she'd done. I loved you, I continued, my voice breaking. I loved you more than my own life. I would have done anything for you, I did do anything for you. And it still wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough. Mom. Get out of my house. But you said it's not. Get out of my house before I call the police and have you arrested right now for trespassing. Get out, and don't ever come back. They left. Emily crying, Derek cursing, both of them scrambling to their car and peeling out of the driveway. My driveway. The driveway I'd shoveled every winter, the driveway where I'd taught Emily to ride a bike, the driveway where my husband had kissed me goodbye for the last time. I stood there alone in front of my house, my stolen house, my fraudulently sold house, and I finally let myself break. I collapsed on the front steps and sobbed. Deep, wrenching sobs that hurt my healing chest, that made my surgical scars ache, that tore through me like knives. I cried for the daughter I'd lost. For the years I'd wasted. For the trust that had been shattered beyond repair. But I also cried in relief. Because it was over. The enabling, the rescuing, the constant anxiety about what catastrophe they'd create next. It was finally, mercifully over. My phone rang. My lawyer, Matthias Johnbrook. Linda, I just got a very interesting call from a Mr. Patterson. Says he bought your house and is having trouble with the title transfer. I know, I said, wiping my face. My daughter sold it without authorization. A long pause. I see. And do you want to pursue legal action? Did I? Did I want to send my only child to prison? Did I want to destroy her life the way she'd tried to destroy mine? Yes, I said. The word felt like both a betrayal and a liberation. Yes, I want to pursue every available legal option. Understood. I'll contact Mr. Patterson and explain the situation. I'll also file a police report for fraud and elder abuse. Linda. I'm sorry. I know this can't be easy. It's not. But it's necessary. The next few months were a nightmare of legal proceedings. Patterson, the buyer, was actually sympathetic once he understood the situation. I have a mother, Mrs. Dawson. If my daughter did this to her, I'd want blood too. He sued Emily and Derek for the return of his $300,000 plus damages. They didn't have it, of course. They'd spent it all on Derek's debts. So they had to declare bankruptcy. The criminal charges were even worse. The prosecutor, a stern woman named Sarah Martinez, laid it out clearly. What your daughter did is textbook elder abuse. She exploited your medical vulnerability, forged documents, and stole property. The state takes this very seriously. Emily called me, begging. Mom, please. Drop the charges. I'll go to jail. Derek will go to jail. Our lives will be ruined. Your lives are already ruined, I said coldly. You ruined them the moment you decided to betray me. I'm your daughter. Doesn't that mean anything? You're a stranger who happens to share my DNA. My daughter died the day she sold my house. She sobbed into the phone. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, Mom. Please forgive me. I do forgive you. I said, and I meant it. But forgiveness doesn't mean no consequences. It means I'm letting go of the anger so it doesn't poison me. But you still have to face what you've done. I can't go to jail. I can't. I'll die there. You should have thought of that before you committed multiple felonies. She hung up. She didn't call again. The trial was surreal. Sitting in a courtroom, listening to lawyers describe my daughter as a predator, as an abuser, as a criminal. Watching her cry on the stand, trying to paint herself as the victim. My mother was always so controlling. She testified. She held money over my head. She made me feel like I owed her everything. I just wanted to be free. I sat in the gallery, my face impassive, and listened to her lie. The prosecutor destroyed her on cross-examination. So your mother is working double shifts to pay for your wedding, that was controlling? Your mother emptying her retirement account to save your husband from loan sharks, that was manipulation? Your mother nearly worked herself to death to support you, that was holding money over your head? Emily had no answer. Derek tried to claim he didn't know about the trust, that he thought everything was legal. The prosecutor produced bank records showing he'd researched my house value weeks before my hospitalization. Showed text messages where he and Emily discussed waiting for the right opportunity. They'd planned it. Not spontaneously in a moment of desperation, but carefully, methodically. They'd been waiting for me to be vulnerable enough to exploit. That hurt worse than anything. Worse than the betrayal, worse than the theft. Premeditation. The cold calculation. My daughter had sat by my hospital bed, holding my hand, telling me she loved me, all while planning to steal everything I had. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. They found both Emily and Derek guilty on all counts. Fraud. Elder abuse. Forgery. Conspiracy. The judge showed no mercy. This court sees many cases of elder abuse, but rarely one so calculated and callous. You didn't steal from a stranger. You stole from the woman who gave you life, who sacrificed her own well-being for yours. The sentence is 5 years for each defendant, to run consecutively, not concurrently. 5 years. My daughter would spend the next 5 years in prison. She looked at me as they led her away, her eyes pleading for something: mercy, intervention, rescue. One more time, just one more time, save me, Mom. I looked away. I moved back into my house 3 months after the trial, agreeing to void the sale in exchange for my covering his legal fees. It was expensive, but I'd started a GoFundMe to help with costs, and the story had gone viral. People from around the world donated, sharing their own stories of family betrayal, of children who'd stolen from aging parents. You're not alone, they told me. This happens more than anyone wants to admit. And it does. So many people reach out to me now, asking for advice, sharing their pain. My son stole my car. My daughter emptied my bank account. My family wants me to sign over my house. And I tell them all the same thing: set boundaries. Protect yourself. Love doesn't mean letting people destroy you. The house feels different now. Emptier. Not because of missing furniture, I replaced everything Emily donated, but because of missing memories. I can't walk into the kitchen without remembering her as a little girl, standing on a stool to help me bake cookies. Can't see her childhood bedroom without remembering nights spent reading her stories, kissing her forehead, promising her the world. That little girl is gone. Maybe she never really existed. Maybe I created a fantasy of who I wanted her to be, and ignored who she actually was. I'm in therapy now. Working through the grief, the guilt, the anger. My therapist says I'm experiencing a kind of death, the death of the relationship I thought I had with my daughter. You're mourning, she tells me. And that's okay. Mourn the daughter you wish you had. Mourn the relationship you wanted. But don't mourn the relationship you actually had, because that relationship was toxic and one-sided. That relationship was killing you. She's right. I know, she's right. But knowledge doesn't make it hurt less. I went to visit Emily in prison once. Just once. About a year into her sentence. She looked terrible. Thinner, paler, older. Prison does that to people. Mom, she said when she saw me. Relief flooded her face. I knew you'd come. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. I sat down across from her, the plexiglass barrier between us. I'm not here to rescue you, Emily. Her face fell. Then why are you here? To tell you that I forgive you. She started crying. Thank you. Thank you. Does this mean, Dad? It doesn't mean I'm going to help you appeal. It doesn't mean I'm going to hire you a lawyer or pay your commissary or welcome you back into my life when you get out. It means I've let go of the anger because holding on to it was hurting me more than it was hurting you. But I'm your daughter. You were my daughter. Now you're someone I used to know. How can you say that? After everything we've been through? After everything we've been through? Emily, we went through nothing together. I went through 35 years of sacrifice while you took. I went through heartbreak while you caused it. I went through betrayal while you committed it. There was no we. There was only me giving and you taking until there was nothing left to take. She was sobbing now, her face in her hands. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I was selfish and wrong, and I see that now. Please, Mom. Please give me another chance. No. The word hung between us, final and absolute. No? Just. No? Emily, I gave you chances. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Every loan you never repaid. Every promise you broke. Every lie you told. I gave you chances until I had nothing left to give. And you still wanted more. You wanted everything. Even my home. Even my security. Even my life. I was desperate. Derek's debts. It's not my responsibility. They were never my responsibility. You made choices. You married a man you knew was financially irresponsible, you enabled his gambling. You spent money you didn't have on things you didn't need, those were your choices. And instead of facing the consequences, you tried to make me pay for them, literally. I didn't know what else to do. You could have declared bankruptcy. You could have divorced him, you could have gotten jobs and worked your way out of debt like millions of other people do. But you didn't want to do the hard work. You wanted the easy solution. And I was the easiest target. She had no response to that. Because it was true, and we both knew it. Mom, please, she whispered. I can't do this without you. Prison is horrible. I'm scared all the time. I don't belong here. You're exactly where you belong, I said, my voice steady. You committed crimes. Real crimes that hurt real people. Me. Mr. Patterson. Everyone who donated to your various sob stories over the years, you belong here until you serve your sentence. But Derek. Derek is serving his sentence in another facility. And when you both get out, I hope you stay far away from me. I hope you build new lives somewhere I'll never have to see you or think about you again. You don't mean that. I mean every word. Emily, you nearly killed me. Do you understand that? The stress you put me under, the betrayal while I was recovering from heart surgery. My cardiologist said the emotional trauma alone could have caused another heart attack. You almost murdered me, and you did it for money. For gambling debts. That's who you are. And I don't want that person in my life. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face. I'm still your daughter. Blood is blood. Blood is just biology, I said. It doesn't mean loyalty. It doesn't mean love. It doesn't mean I have to let you destroy me just because we share DNA. I'm 61 years old, Emily. I have maybe 20 good years left if I'm lucky. And I'm not spending them being your victim anymore. So that's it? You're just done? After everything? After everything, I repeated. Yes. I'm done. I'm done sacrificing. I'm done rescuing. I'm done setting myself on fire to keep you warm. I'm done. I stood up. She reached toward the glass, her palm flat against it. Don't go. Please don't go. Mom, I love you. I looked at her hand on the glass. I looked at her tear-stained face. And I felt nothing. No anger. No love. No pain. Just emptiness where my daughter used to be. Goodbye, Emily. I walked away. She was screaming behind me, calling my name, begging me to come back. But I kept walking. Through the doors, through security, out into the parking lot where the sun was shining and the air was clean and free. I got in my car, drove out of the prison complex, and I never went back. That was 18 months ago. Emily got out on parole last month. I know, because her parole officer contacted me to ask if she could list my address as her residence. Absolutely not, I said. She claims she has nowhere else to go. That's not my problem. She's your daughter. She's an ex-convict who committed elder abuse against me. I have a restraining order. If she comes within 500 feet of me or my property, she'll violate her parole and go right back to prison. The parole officer sighed. Mrs. Dawson, I understand you're angry, but I'm not angry, I interrupted. I'm protective. Of myself. Of my peace. Of the life I'm rebuilding. Emily made her choices. Now, she gets to live with them. She's having trouble finding housing. A criminal record makes it difficult. Good. Maybe difficulty will teach her something. Maybe struggling will make her grow in ways my constant rescuing never did. That's harsh. That's reality. And it's a reality I shielded her from her entire life. Look where that got us. Emily ended up in a halfway house. I know, because she found my email address and sent me a message. It was long, rambling, full of self-pity and blame. Mom, I'm living in a room with 3 other women. I have to share a bathroom. I can only eat what they provide. I can't find a job because of my record. I'm trying to turn my life around, but no one will give me a chance. You could help me. You could give me a fresh start. But instead, you're leaving me to suffer. What kind of mother does that? I read it once and deleted it without responding. What kind of mother does that? The kind who finally learned that helping isn't helping when it enables. The kind who finally understood that love without boundaries is abuse of the giver, by the taker. She's written me 17 emails since then. I've deleted all of them unread. She's tried calling from various numbers. I block them all. She even showed up at my workplace once, waiting outside the hospital. Security escorted her away. Ma'am, there's a restraining order. You need to leave. I just want to talk to my mother. She screamed as they walked her to her car. I just want her to hear me. I watched from my office window, my hands steady, my heart rate normal. I felt no urge to run down and save her. No maternal instinct to comfort her, nothing. My therapist says it's emotional detachment, a protective mechanism. You've grieved. You've processed. Now you're simply done. And that's healthy, Linda. That's what healing looks like. But sometimes I wonder if there's something wrong with me. What kind of mother can watch her daughter suffer and feel nothing? What kind of person can cut off their only child and not look back? Then I remember lying in that hospital bed, vulnerable and scared, trusting my daughter to care for me, and I remember her betrayal. The cold calculation. The complete lack of remorse until she got caught. And I remember that I didn't abandon her, she abandoned me first. Years ago, really, when she decided I was a resource instead of a person, when she chose to see me as an ATM instead of a mother. I'm not the villain in this story. I'm the survivor. My life is different now. Smaller in some ways, but bigger in others. I retired from nursing last year. 35 years was enough. I have a modest pension and my social security. I downsized, sold the house, actually. Too many memories, too much space for one person. I bought a small condo near the beach. 2 bedrooms, a little balcony where I drink my morning coffee and watch the sunrise. I have friends now. Real friends, not coworkers I was too exhausted to socialize with. We have a book club. We take day trips. We laugh and drink wine and talk about things that matter and things that don't. You seem lighter, my friend Margaret said recently. Happier. I am, I said. And it was true. For the first time in decades, I'm not carrying the weight of someone else's problems on my shoulders. I'm not lying awake at night worrying about what crisis Emily will manufacture next. I'm not checking my bank account with dread, wondering what she's stolen. I'm just living. Simply living. I volunteer at a women's shelter now. I help mothers who are in abusive relationships, not romantic abuse, but family abuse. Adult children who steal from them, manipulate them, drain them dry emotionally and financially. I stayed because she's my daughter, one woman told me, crying. What kind of mother gives up on her child? I held her hand. The kind who refuses to enable abuse. The kind who understands that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. The kind who knows that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no and mean it. But she's my baby. She's an adult who's making adult choices to hurt you. And you're allowed to protect yourself from her. You're allowed to want more than being someone's victim. She looked at me with such hope mixed with fear. Did you? Did you have to do this too? Yes. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And it saved my life. I help them file restraining orders. I connect them with lawyers. I sit with them in court when they face their children. And afterward, when they're crying because they feel like monsters, I remind them, you're not a monster, you're a mother who finally chose herself. And that's not cruelty. That's courage. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about Emily. I wonder where she is, what she's doing, if she's okay. The maternal instinct doesn't just disappear, even when the relationship does. But then I remind myself, she's not my responsibility anymore. She's 33 years old. She's had every advantage, every opportunity, every chance. What she does with her life now is up to her. I spent 33 years trying to save her from herself, trying to love her into being the person I wanted her to be, trying to sacrifice enough, give enough, be enough. It was never going to be enough, because the problem wasn't that I didn't give enough, the problem was that she never learned to give anything back. She never learned that relationships are reciprocal. That love is mutual. That family means caring for each other, not just taking from each other. Derek got out of prison 6 months before Emily. I heard he moved back in with his mother in another state. She's probably going through what I went through, learning the hard way that her son is a user and a parasite. I feel sorry for her. But I also know she won't listen if anyone warns her, just like I didn't listen when people warned me about Emily. We mothers, we're programmed to believe in our children, to see the best in them, to excuse, justify, enable. Until we can't anymore. Until the cost becomes too high. Until we realize we're not helping them, we're killing ourselves. Last week was my 61st birthday. My friends threw me a party at a beachside restaurant. There was cake and champagne and laughter. So much laughter. Make a wish, they said as I blew out the candles. I closed my eyes. And do you know what I wished for? Not for Emily to come back, not for reconciliation or healing or some fairy tale ending where she apologizes and means it and we're a family again. I wished for more days like this. More mornings, watching the sunrise from my balcony, more dinners with friends who value me. More volunteering, helping women who need to hear that it's okay to choose themselves. More peace. More joy. More life lived on my terms, not on the terms of someone who only loved me for what I could provide. When I opened my eyes, Margaret was watching me with a knowing smile. Good wishes? The best, I said. That night, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was before I opened it. It was from Emily. The subject line said, "Please, Mom. I'm desperate." I hovered my mouse over it. Part of me, that small, stubborn maternal part that will apparently never completely die, wanted to open it. I wanted to see what crisis she was facing now, what emergency required my intervention. But I didn't. I moved the mouse to the delete button instead. "You're not my emergency anymore," I whispered to the screen. "You're not my responsibility. You're not my problem." And I deleted it. Then I blocked the email address. Poured myself a glass of wine. Put on some music, and I danced in my living room, alone and free and completely, utterly at peace. I want to tell you something important. Something I wish someone had told me 30 years ago when this all started. Loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. Being family doesn't mean accepting abuse. Being a mother doesn't mean sacrificing yourself on the altar of your child's dysfunction. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect yourself from people who hurt you, even if those people are your own children. It doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you cruel. It doesn't make you a bad mother. It makes you human. It makes you healthy. It makes you someone who understands that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that letting someone drain you dry helps neither of you. Emily didn't learn responsibility because I never let her face consequences. She didn't learn the value of money because I kept giving her mine. She didn't learn respect because I accepted her disrespect over and over again. In my attempt to be a good mother, I created a monster. Or maybe she was always going to be that way, and my enabling just made it worse. I'll never know. And I've finally made peace with not knowing. All I know is this: I'm 61 years old, and I'm finally living my life. Not the life I thought I'd have, with a loving daughter and grandchildren and family holidays. But a life that's mine. A life that's peaceful. A life that's worth living. And that's more than I had when I was sacrificing everything for someone who saw me as nothing more than a source of money and stability. People ask me if I regret cutting Emily off. If I miss her. If I ever think about reconciling. The answer is complicated. Do I miss her? I miss the daughter I thought I had. The little girl who hugged me tight and said I was the best mommy in the world. The teenager who, despite her attitude, still came to me with her problems. The young woman I thought would grow up and understand, eventually, everything I'd done for her. But that person was always more fantasy than reality. The real Emily, the one who stole from me, who betrayed me, who tried to make me homeless while I recovered from heart surgery, I don't miss her at all. Do I regret it? No. My only regret is not doing it sooner, not setting boundaries years ago. Not saying no when she first started treating me like an ATM, not protecting myself before she could inflict so much damage. Will I ever reconcile? I don't think so. Because reconciliation requires two things: genuine remorse, and changed behavior, Emily has shown neither. Her emails are full of self-pity and blame. She's sorry she got caught, sorry she's facing consequences, sorry her life is hard now, but she's not sorry for what she did to me. She's not sorry for the betrayal, the theft, the cruelty. She's sorry for herself. And that's not enough, it will never be enough. I need to tell you about a moment I had a few months ago. I was at the grocery store, just doing normal shopping. And I saw a woman with her daughter, maybe Emily's age. They were laughing together, the daughter helping her mother reach something on a high shelf. Such a simple moment. Such a normal, beautiful moment. And I felt it. The grief. The loss. The ache for something I'll never have. I stood there in the cereal aisle, tears streaming down my face, mourning the relationship I'd wanted so badly and never got to have. A store employee asked if I was okay. "I'm fine," I said, wiping my face. "Just remembering something?" "The truth is, I'm not completely fine. I don't think I ever will be. You don't go through what I went through and come out undamaged. You don't lose your only child even when you're the one who had to walk away and not carry that pain forever. But I'm okay. I'm healing. I'm learning to live with the scar tissue where my daughter used to be. And most importantly, I'm learning that survival is enough. I don't have to thrive. I don't have to be perfectly healed. I don't have to reach some Instagram-worthy level of happiness and closure. I just have to keep going. Keep breathing. Keep choosing myself, day after day, even when it hurts, even when I see mothers and daughters together and feel that knife twist in my chest. Because the alternative, letting Emily back in, letting her take more, letting her finish what she started, that would be the end of me. My cardiologist was clear about that. "Linda, you cannot afford this kind of stress. Your heart won't survive it. So I choose life. My life. Imperfect, smaller than I'd dreamed, missing the family I'd wanted. But mine. Finally, completely mine. There's one more thing I need to tell you, something I discovered in therapy that changed everything. I was talking about Emily, about how I'd given her everything and it still wasn't enough, about how nothing I did was ever good enough. And my therapist said something that stopped me cold. "Linda, what if it was never about you not being enough? What if you were always enough, more than enough, and Emily simply didn't value it because she never had to work for it?" I sat there, stunned. Because she was right. Every sacrifice I made, every dollar I gave, every crisis I solved, Emily never had to earn any of it. It was just there. Always there. An endless supply of mom's time, mom's money, mom's love. And things we don't earn, we don't value. I gave her everything, and in doing so, I taught her that everything was free, that there were no limits, no boundaries, no consequences. That she could take and take and take, and the supply would never run out. I didn't make her a bad person. But I didn't teach her to be a good one either. And that's a hard truth to swallow. That my love, my generosity, my willingness to sacrifice all the things I thought made me a good mother actually hurt her. Actually created the dynamic that led her to commit elder abuse against me. But here's what I've learned: I can acknowledge my role in creating that dynamic without taking responsibility for her choices. I can admit I enabled her without excusing what she did. I can see my mistakes without making them mean I deserve to be victimized. It's a both and thing, not an either or. I made mistakes as a mother and Emily made choices as an adult. I created unhealthy patterns and Emily chose to exploit them criminally. I could have had better boundaries and she still shouldn't have stolen from me. Both things are true. And holding both truths has been the key to my healing. My name is Linda Dawson, and I'm 61 years old. I loved my daughter more than my own life. I sacrificed everything for her: my money, my time, my health, my future, my peace. I gave until there was nothing left to give. And she sold my house to pay off her husband's debts while I was recovering from heart surgery. When I came home, they mocked me, laughed at me, called me homeless. I just smiled. Because what they didn't know, what they were too greedy and stupid to check, was that the house they'd sold wasn't actually theirs to sell, it was held in a family trust. Their perfect crime was fraud. People say I'm cold, heartless, cruel for letting my daughter go to jail, for cutting her out of my life completely, for refusing to rescue her one more time. And maybe they're right, maybe I am cold now. Maybe that's what happens when someone you love tries to destroy you. Maybe you have to become cold to survive the heat of their betrayal. But I prefer to think I'm not cold, I'm boundaried, I'm not heartless, I'm self-protecting. I'm not cruel, I'm wise enough to know that mercy without accountability isn't mercy at all. It's just enabled with a prettier name. It hurt. God, it still hurts. Some days are more than others. Some days I wake up and forget for a moment, and then I remember, and the loss hits me all over again. But the pain of losing Emily is nothing compared to the pain of keeping her, the pain of being used, exploited, betrayed. The pain of working myself to death for someone who saw me as nothing more than a means to an end. I spent 35 years caring for other people, my patients, my students, my daughter. I spent 35 years putting everyone else first. Now I'm spending whatever time I have left caring for myself. Putting myself first, living my life for me, not for someone who only loved me for what I could provide. And you know what? It's not perfect, it's not the life I thought I'd have. It's quieter, smaller, lonelier in some ways. But it's mine. It's peaceful. It's free from crisis and chaos and constant anxiety. It's enough. I'm enough. Finally, after all these years, I'm enough. So let me ask you something. Are you enabling someone right now? Are you sacrificing yourself for someone who takes and never gives back? Are you setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm? If you are, I want you to know, you can stop. You're allowed to stop. It's not selfish to choose yourself, it's not cruel to have boundaries. It's not heartless to refuse to be victimized. It's survival. And if people call you cold, heartless, cruel for protecting yourself, let them. Let them judge. They're not the ones being exploited. They're not the ones losing everything. They're not the ones who'll end up with nothing, because they gave everything to someone who valued nothing. You are allowed to want more than being someone's victim. You are allowed to build a life that's yours. You are allowed to say no, and mean it, even to family. Especially to my family. My name is Linda Dawson. I loved my daughter more than myself until she sold what love built. Now I'm building something new, a life that's mine. A life that's peaceful. A life that's worth living. If that makes me the villain in her story, then maybe villains are just mothers who finally said no, mothers who finally chose themselves. Mothers who finally understood that love without boundaries isn't love at all, it's suicide. And I'm done dying for someone who was killing me. I'm done. And I'm finally free. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and if you've ever had to make the impossible choice between your own survival and someone you love. I read every comment. And I want you to know, if you're going through this right now, you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not wrong for wanting to protect yourself. You're just human. And being human means you're allowed to choose life, your life, even when it hurts, even when it costs you everything. Even when the people you love call you a monster for refusing to let them destroy you. Choose yourself. Choose life. Choose freedom. I did. And I've never regretted it. My name is Linda Dawson. This is my story. And if it helps even one person set boundaries, protect themselves, and walk away from toxic family dynamics, then everything I went through was worth it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me know I'm not alone. Now go live your life. The one that's yours. The one you deserve. You're enough. You've always been enough. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve a place in your life, family or not. Be free. Be strong. Be yours. That's all any of us can do.